Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as the Keeper. The Keeper, you heard me right, it's the Keeper Daily, and that doesn't happen often, only 2 times a year, and the other one is on April Fool's, and that daily is kind of a weird one, so I wouldn't even consider it as a Keeper Daily as much of a random daily, which is just meant for you to die because you get random items. So this is, in actuality, I would say the only Keeper Daily, unless there may be some other special ones, in the whole year where we just get to play as this character and there are basically no other changes. There's some little nuances and differences from just like a regular daily, but not enough which I would consider as that you should maybe change your strategy overall. Because the Keeper, as we all know, is one of these fragile characters with very low speed, and obviously because of your tear delay, you're not really good at killing enemies either. But there are some side effects or positives, like for example you heal with coins, and that's something you can utilize, especially in sacrifice room, blood banks, or anything like that, because then of course you can play the blood banks, you can get the blood bags, and that does give you that speed upgrade that you so terribly need. So at least, you know, he does have something going for him. He's not just a very one-dimensional character like maybe the Lost, and you know, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I definitely think he has more nuances and just maybe more different playstyles than just a straightforward try to get to the end and just try to get a high score. You just kind of need to keep a few things in mind, and because you have this active item which you really can't kind of forgo, you just need to use it very actively. At the start of the room you have to avoid the coins, you kind of have to leave some coins behind. I think it's a very engaging gameplay to some extent, even if it's maybe a little bit annoying. So I feel like one Keeper daily a year is the perfect amount of Keeper that I can handle without maybe losing my mind. So I did talk about some changes that happen in this daily besides just playing as the Keeper, and that is that every single pill is an explosive diarrhea pill. And that's something that, as soon as you know, becomes a very big, I would say, positive to the run, because you can use them instead of bombs. But obviously in a Keeper daily you just never want to use the pills. Like, it's not worth risking it, because there's so many pills which would negatively affect you, like a hell down pill, or maybe a bad trip, or even a speed downgrade pill. All of those 3 will just basically instantly ruin the run for you, and there's nothing you can do about it as soon as you pick them up. But knowing that, of course, basically every pill is an explosive diarrhea pill is definitely something that might give you the advantage, and this just is something you might never find out if you're actually trying to play smart. I still did take them because I'm maybe a bit of a crazy maniac sometimes, and I was just wondering, you know, who theirs wins, and I just kind of went for it. I honestly, I didn't really think about it too much. I just like using pills a lot, and you know, if I happen to take a hell downgrade pill, so what, right? It's a part of life. Sometimes I try to play optimally, and I kind of pride myself on that. But in this particular one, we're playing as a Keeper, right? We're trying to survive, we're trying to get to the end, so I feel like some silly mistakes and some silly shenanigans are very much up the alley of this run, so I decided to go with it. Another change, or maybe another difference, which is very minor and just pretty much visual, is that every time we shoot there's a very random or small chance that a fart effect emits, and that fart effect not only pushes enemies away, but I also think bullets. So obviously that's a good thing, because it gives you a little bit more defense, but besides that, it's also very annoying, because it's unpredictable. It doesn't come, like, I would say, periodically. Sometimes you get a few in a row, sometimes there's a very large discrepancy between them, and you can never really predict them, but the noise is always there, and it's so annoying, because you're trying to fight, and you have that visual effect on the screen, and I think it just clutters it for a little bit, and especially with a circle of protection here, I felt like I couldn't see majority of shots that were actually aiming towards me, but luckily, you know, because the circle of protection does actually protect you from tears, and we also had Dry Baby, I wasn't too concerned, because I felt like in the overall average case I was still safer than if I didn't have those items, but definitely the visual clutter on the screen was just a little bit too much for me, and I just really wasn't able to kind of focus on it. Maybe the only other saving grace is that we got a lot of items which kind of reduce their size, and I think that definitely helped in just dodging overall, so that's definitely something that I think was a strong positive with this run. And maybe what's even better is that there were a lot of, I would say, very fair rooms. I wouldn't call a lot of the rooms we faced unfair or maybe guaranteed damage. There definitely were, I would say, some difficult ones, like for example that room with spikes and buttons that kind of come at you. Sometimes you're just gonna end up getting hit there and there's nothing you can really do about it. If you happen to get unlucky enough not to get a penny in this room, you can end up getting hit and not being able to kind of recover your health. And besides that one little incident, or maybe that one little room, I feel like the other ones were pretty much, you know, very doable. If you just kind of play smart, if you take your time, if you don't try to rush it. And even with that said, I didn't really try to rush this run. I tried to explore as much as I could, and I still managed to get to boss rush, because, you know, having 10 damage and 5 tear delay, well, I actually had a little bit less, but I did pick up an item that reduced my tear delay. So just having both of those items combinations was enough to kind of carry me through the run, and I felt like I could actually tackle boss rush with the setup I had, but because not only did I have enough damage, but because you can kind of stockpile on money. Of course, it would still be difficult, but I always had a secondary option. If I ever get hit, I can use my treasure card, not the treasure, but the one that teleports you to the treasure room, to just kind of escape and get out. But of course, as soon as I entered boss rush, there was that room with spikes, which has items, but every item is surrounded with spikes. So that means, if you don't get a penny from our swallowed penny, then we can't use it to heal ourselves up, and because we can't use hearts that enemies give us, it's actually gonna be really hard not to get hit against the first wave, of course, depending on who it is, because we're only gonna have 1 health as soon as we pick up the item. So I pick up the item, and it's the clicker, and first of all, it's an active item, which means I've lost the swallowed penny now, and I can't use it again to heal, so my only option really is to just use the clicker and try to reroll into something that actually has health. So I do that, and then I get hit once, and that's obviously a very bad thing because still I don't have enough health. So I'm left at a half-heart interval. I'm just thinking, maybe I shouldn't do boss rush. I don't think it's the right choice. So I just use my teleport card, I go out, and I kind of decide I'll try to get back into it if I get enough health, because of course the boss rush door I think stays open even if you teleport out up until the 20th minute. But I wasn't able to find enough health, and was just like, it doesn't really matter. What's important is try to get as far as possible, because that's gonna give me just the more guaranteed overall points. But definitely the biggest bummer, or I would say the cherry on top of this run, was that I picked up a blind item in a secret room and it turned out to be missing now, and of course that rerolled my run, and luckily it wasn't too terrible. Like on Womb 1 I was still relatively strong, but where it kind of went downhill is definitely this floor. I used the clicker, for some reason I lost all of my spirit hearts, and then of course facing this room I really couldn't do much. I could have dodged the first one and definitely the second one as well, but just kind of when you're overwhelmed with 13 tier delay, I was shooting really slowly and I just maybe wasn't focusing too hard. I ended up taking 2 hits of damage. I would have felt much safer. I would have just gone to the boss room and tried to fight Mom's heart. If I would have even like 3, maybe 4 health in total, I think that would be definitely a comfortable way. And as soon as I would have beaten it, I would just pick the trophy up and finish it. But in fact, even though I did get so far and I did end up dying here, I still ranked really well. I was in the top 10 when I checked the Greed About leaderboards, which is obviously much more decent than I expected. In the first place, I really thought I was going to be like in the top 50s, maybe top 100, but considering, of course, it is a Keeper Daily, a lot of people have died early on, so just getting to this point is gonna be strong enough to give you so many points that you basically don't have to worry about the ranking. So overall, I would say it was a fun daily, definitely something different, and definitely a very stark contrast in the one we had yesterday. It's definitely something I came to expect. Admin and team are obviously very trolly sometimes, but having a Keeper Daily one time in a year, I think it's a very safe manner. I do wish that we had a very strong daily after it, like tomorrow, because I feel like that would be a little bit better. They kind of raised our hopes only to crush them, and it hurts a little bit more after having such a strong daily yesterday, but it doesn't really matter. We got through it, we ended up wrecking well, and in the end, I feel like if you enjoyed it, that's really all that matters. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this one, guys, and I hope to see you next time.